Today on Talk It Out.
Personally, I feel like I'm a feminist in the way that I think that women and men are both equal. I think anything above that where, people are trying to say, women are better than men or men are better than women is just a little bit too, exaggerated.
Today, we're talking feminism, and not only has the perception of feminism changed over the past years, but also the way in which we define it and express it. So I just want to know, how do you guys define feminism, and what do you think society just in general thinks of feminism just today?
For me, just at its most basic level, it's the social, political, economic equality of the sexes. It's not bra burning, it's not man hating.
Do you think that that's how society sees it?
No. There's a very misconstrued idea that a feminist is somebody who doesn't shave her armpits or I don't know, hates men like you said, but really it is just believing that both men and women are equal to each other and should be treated as such. And that's just common sense, I feel.
That's true, but then where would this misconception come from? That's the thing. It's not coming out of air. There are feminists in this world that have created that stereotype.
Well, that stereotype, like many stereotypes, comes from the outliers of that group of feminists. For example, religious people, like not all Catholics or Christians are homophobic, hating people, but there are a couple who are, and we see them as the representatives of that group.
I mean, for me personally, I totally agree that, women should be treated equally and with respect, but I also think that there are differences between the genders, and there just isn't anything that you can say that takes that away. And I know for me personally, hopefully I can be in the position one day that I can stay home and raise my kids and take care of my family, but when I say that nowadays, my friends and people are like, you want to be a mom? No, I don't have kids, but I want the nanny. And they freak out about it, and I'm like, I think that's such an important job and such an important role that people are just kind of forgetting and not treating it as important as it should be treated.
And I think also that people need to understand that we should be able to choose for ourselves. Exactly. You wanting to stay home is not you not being a feminist or saying that women should stay home. It's just you as a personal choice want to do that.
I think people that should be free to express that choice, you said, But I think that men, they like to be treated like a man. You've got to let them, even if you're not, you've got to still let them feel like they're kind of taking care of you, because that's just kind of what a man likes to do,
But what does it mean
to be a man? Because it brings up the stereotypes and gender binary thing.
That men have to be this,
the guard of the family.
They've had so much social pressure put on them to be a certain way, and if you're not a certain way, then you're not a man. So I don't know. I don't think that you have to let the guy feel like he's
superior.
I think in any relationship, both people should be equal, and the woman should be able to protect the man too. Just because you're in a relationship with each other, if you love the other person, you do that automatically.
Maybe it's also culturally. I feel like in a lot of cultures, that's where it comes from. For example, for me, I'm Hispanic, and so culturally, the guy's always the one in charge, the woman has to cater to her man. And again, what Hannah says, it's either you want to do that or you don't want to do that. But again, culturally, that's just the way you see things,
Even though it's a culture, do you think that it's right then, if that's how you got
I personally don't think it's right, only because for my past experiences, I went through like domestic violence, I grew up in it. So for me, feminism, I see it as a form of standing up. I see it as this platform for women to be like, I'm here, I'm equally as important, and I demand respect.
Exactly.
So I created my own definition for it.
There we go. I like
and what you were saying about how there are other, problems that women face in, very patriarchal societies in this world. I think a lot of societies and cultures are patriarchal, which is why you see these, patterns of the men being in charge and things like that. But I think even within the feminist movement, and this is something that I see that's changing, there is, there are race dynamics in there. Not all women of color are represented. Not women of color's issues aren't as represented as maybe white feminists. So I think that's definitely something that's changing, that should change, so you can get more voices, more representation in the movement.
And I was thinking the word feminism has a word like female in it, and I was thinking that does that mean something? And if, let's just say society, like years, like let's say 100 years later, we are the ones dominating men. Do you think that the word feminist should still be there?
Well, okay. This brings up the topic of why we don't have white pride, why we don't have straight pride. Because the group of oppressors who have historically been the oppressors don't have, I don't know how to phrase this correctly without sounding rude. They don't really have anything to like strive for and be prideful of, whereas like we have like Black Student Union, Gay Straight Alliance kind of thing, and feminism, because they are the groups that have been oppressed and have something to strive for and have a movement. So I think if in the future, if females are dominating and are treated better than men, then that name should maybe be re-looked at, but right now, since they're not treated equally, that should be the name. When you have black pride, you're not saying, oh, black people are better than white people. You're saying that this group has had to fight to try to have an equal stance in our society.
But we call it race equality. We don't call it black equality. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, but we say gender equality.
Yes, gender equality. We don't have the word like female in the name of equality, where the name of having men and women equal is feminist, having the word female in it. Just why can't it somehow be gender equality? That makes sense.
I feel that would get rid of the misconception.
And then I feel like guys would be so much more into it, and they'd be like, yes, okay, it's just about gender being equal. I completely believe that women and men should be treated equally. I want to look after my children. I want to be there for my children. I want to stay home. This has nothing to do with what a female can do, but this is also to do what I want to do. And that's what I feel would help both men and women and just people in general be an activist for feminism.
Right, but I think that's also putting a lot more emphasis on the actual word than what the movement stands for, and that's to have equality of the sexes. I mean, why? Like, it is feminism because women have been the ones that have been oppressed. So I mean, I don't think there should be anything to like make men feel comfortable being a feminist.
They've been comfortable their entire lives, or we have, I guess.
I know men do get uncomfortable sometimes when you talk about like feminism and stuff. They just don't know where they fit. But I think that then again, it goes back into like saying, look, like this is something that is for equality of both sexes. It's not saying that women are better than men. It's not saying that men are better than women. It's for both sexes to be equal.
Like, I completely agree. Like, yes, women are the ones getting oppressed. That's why it's in the name. But what happens if we did change the name and that just helped
the movement?
The movement, exactly. That's all I'm saying is what if that did change? Like, we're like, but we were the ones oppressed. We should have the word female in it. But like, we're not looking at how that could actually help us by changing it.
I totally agree with you, because I feel like men would relate more and they would understand more if it was the gender equality.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, then that's totally fine. But when they think of feminists, they think of like,
feminine,
burners, like all those.
It's definitely just the approach.
I see, people like Mindy Kaling, Beyonce. They're all really speaking out for feminism, for women's rights, and I think that's great. And to see women of color, especially, speaking out is great, because that shows equal representation. But you know what though? I think the problem is though sometimes with having these celebrities like represent or like just talk about like feminist ideals and call themselves feminists. I think people put too much like pressure on them to uphold like everything that's feminist. Like, they're like, okay, so Beyonce like does do a lot for feminism. She talks a lot about herself being a feminist. She identifies as feminist. But the second she does something wrong, like I know there was a lot of backlash she got about partition, and they were like, people like.
Yeah, I remember that.
Say, I mean, if you do a song like this, that means that you're not a feminist. But I don't think you should be like setting these people on a pedestal.
Well, and even talking about that, I think that Beyonce really, even in her partition video, is still sticking to what she identifies being a feminist as, because an idea about feminism is that women shouldn't be sexualized, but they should be able to be sexual in themselves and feel sex as a sexual being. And so I think that even in that instance, she is being a feminist and is practicing feminism.
You've heard from us, now let's hear from you guys on campus. Sarah Litz has the scoop. Hey, Sarah!
Hey, Stacey, I've gathered some Lions to see what they think about feminism. Come on, let's see what they have to say.
I think feminism is just a movement where people are trying to shoot for women and men being equal. And personally, I feel like I'm a feminist in the way that I think that women and men are both equal. I think anything above that where, people are trying to say, women are better than men or men are better than women is just a little bit too, exaggerated.
I define feminism as the equality between the sexes in all forms, politically, socially, economically.
But I feel like a lot of people have a negative connotation towards it because they think they want the women to be surpass the male, but in reality it's just equality.
Men and women in today's society should be given the same opportunities, whether that be jobs, whether that be in sports, really anything. They should be treated as equal.
Would you call yourself a feminist?
I would. I think that the people that don't define themselves as feminists probably don't understand that it focuses on equality and not a hierarchy between sexes.
Do you think it should be called feminism?
I haven't heard this question before, but now that I think about it, I kind of think it shouldn't. It should just, it shouldn't have to have a name. I feel like it should just be, oh, you're getting paid this because this is your job, not because you're a girl.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the word necessarily. I think that's fine, yeah.
If there is a proposition for one, I'm sure that it might make it more socially acceptable to talk about and maybe have people be less apprehensive to identify with it.
Do you consider big-time celebrities like Nicki Minaj, Miley Cyrus, and Kim Kardashian to be feminists themselves?
I think that's kind of like an abstract feminism where you're voicing your opinion through art and stuff like that, but definitely, I don't know much about their political views and stuff like that, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that they are feminists, but sometimes they're a little too far into it. You don't need to, I don't know, some of their actions I don't agree with.
Like what?
Just I feel like Nicki Minaj is just so aggressive and she wants to the female to surpass the male, but I feel like it should just be equal, not who's better.
One of actually the more emerging feminists, weirdly enough, that I've had to acknowledge has been Amber Rose. She's organizing slut walks in LA and stuff, and obviously has not been formally recognized as one. But yeah, if you're making strides towards that kind of equality for women, then yeah, more power to you, I guess.
All right, LMU, you heard it here first. Back to you, Stacey.
Thanks, Sarah. Those are really interesting points you guys made. This is all for the show today. It's really important to keep the talk about feminism going no matter what your stance is. You guys can comment down below to let us know what you guys think about feminism or just what you guys want us to talk about on the next episodes coming. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Raw Studios, like us on Facebook, and tune in next time. Bye.